Greetings, y'all. Peace. So today I am here to talk about this grid that we're looking at. If you locate the black dot, let me know when you see it. Let me know when you see the black dot. I am here to talk about the frequency of the next 10 days. If that's something you think you enjoy, let me know. And I'll share this live with my community. As I'm sharing, I think it's important to know the time that we're dealing with so that we can maximize our effectiveness as creators. That's where I'm coming from. So we today, if you locate that black dot, you don't see it, but the black dot is on top of a darker gray square. These darker squares, Greeting 64, in the paradigm of the dream spell calendar, which is inspired by the Mayan Zocan. The Mayan Zocan is their sacred religious calendar. That's what makes it super special for me, that they have given permission for us to use this, right? Their sacred calendar. This is where they did their rituals, their initiations, where they got their special days from, and such. This is such a sacred grid. So each day is a block on the grid. The yellow dot, the black dot is on top of a darker square, which is day 1 of 10 galactic activation portals. When we hit galactic activation portals, the ancient Maya realized that the veil between dimensions is very thin. In other words, what that means, because we use spiritual language, assuming that people know what that means. So I want to explain what that means. In spirituality, when we talk about a veil being thin, I would use the word easier, more flowing. Okay, so what is easier or more flowing? Well, we have opportunities to move into enhanced energies, all right? And the enhanced energy that you enter in is determined by you. You determine it, as within, so without. So there's nothing that's happening outside of you that is not also going on inside of you. And what I mean by that is you take in the world and you give out an interpretation of it. This is how two people can experience the same situation and have a very different experience and draw very different conclusions. Because when you experience the world, you are not experiencing what is really going on. You are experiencing your interpretation of what is going on. And if your interpretation is governed by rules, mindsets, and belief systems that do not flow with universal truth, then you have experiences of pain, of resistance. But when your interpretations coincide with universal truth, you experience more contentment, more acceptance, more attunement in the world, with the world around you. So you got to ask yourself, as you are experiencing these portals, what am I attached to? A lot of people are attached to a suffering mindset. What that means is whatever is happening inside the world, they take it through a suffering belief system and they churn out a suffering mindset. So if you think back in years past when there was some atrocities going on, like what they call the Holocaust or what they call imprisonment of groups of people, some of them were able to write beautiful literature from those spaces. Why is that? One of them is what a being that we call the Apostle Paul. The Apostle Paul was imprisoned when he wrote all of those epistles that Christians receive, right? We can think of people like Martin Luther King or who else? You can throw Malcolm X or whoever. People who wrote beautiful literature because they were alchemizing the experience that they were in. So it wasn't the prison that governed them. It was their own creative ability. And all of those people had the ability and did ascend into greater reality once they were out. So we have to look at this, right? So going back to the galactic activation portals, what's going to be easier and more flowing for you is your belief systems. You will experience the intensity of the portals of your own mind. Your belief systems take you into portals and timelines. And it's going to be easier for you to do that. So again, ask yourself, what am I attached to? It's good to practice non-attachment. Notice I didn't say detachment because the world has taken on the word detachment and they think that means go numb, don't feel anything. That's not it. The practice of non-attachment, when we look at yoga, because I'm trained in yoga, that's my practice. When we look at non-attachment in yoga, number one is not being attached to the suffering mind and the fluctuations of the mind. The mind can fluctuate. You can be happy in one moment, sad in another moment, over the same situation, depending on what perspective you look from, right? So non-attachment allows you to have the actual experience with the thing rather than experiencing the thing as it is filtered through your mindset. For example, when we talk about something like racism, if a racist encounters a race that they despise, they will not be interacting with the actual race or person. They will be interacting with what they think about the person. And you cannot be confused about this because some people are so confused about reality that they think their interpretations are reality, are what's real. And then if someone comes outside of them and has a different experience, they would want to fight the person outside because the portal is sucking them in. The portal of their own belief systems is magnetic and it wants to repel anything that is against and draw whatever is for. And so if the portals in your mind have a negative orientation, you're going to get sucked into that. Okay, you're not going to have an experience with what is going on around you. You are merely experiencing your own mind, and you are the God of your own mind, and you have the right to do that. And many people are doing that. Non-attachment, though, is recognizing this and deciding that I actually want to experience what is going on, which begins with understanding yourself. That's why in my mentorship community, I didn't start off with emotional concepts and paradigms and such. I started off with the self because a lot of people are unconscious about their self. They are unconscious about their biases. They are unconscious about their patterns. And the more you become conscious of your patterns, the more you can create a different reality. If you find yourself in a time loop over and over, experiencing the same thing, doing the same thing, feeling the same thing, saying the same thing. Even if you try to do the opposite, the pattern is still there. It's a time loop. Why? Because your mind creates it for you and you get caught up in a holding pattern. The idea of this is with every round, you get increasingly uncomfortable until you see that I am creating this. I'm creating it. So what's going to be easy for you is for you to recognize that if you are on the path to do that. What's also going to be easy for you is to plug into joy. It's to plug into suffering. It's to plug into all kinds. There's so many things going on in this world. And you got to look at what you plug into. And it reminds me of, this was back in 2013, okay? I was just like coming into a new sense of spirituality outside of Christianity. And I just started plugging into nature, right? So I'm driving down the street and I noticed the squirrel is in the middle of the street. It just got hit. And so its tail was flapping and it was feverishly trying to get up, but it couldn't. And immediately I plugged into that and I felt so sad. I felt the energy of the squirrel. You know, I felt the energy of death and helplessness. And so I went to my spiritual teacher at the time and I said, why am I feeling this? Like, I don't even want to kill an ant. I am just kind of connecting with the suffering of nature. And she said, I have one question for you. Why do you think you're so attached to suffering? And I was mad because what you mean? I'm developing this new concept of awareness. Listen, an ant does not experience pain on the level that you do because an ant doesn't have the functionality to do it. So if you're plugging into the death of an ant, you're plugging into suffering because the ant is not even experiencing that. But you could convince yourself that you are. And you actually are, but it's a figment of your own mind and your own reality. Okay. And so even though I got really upset with her, I went and sat on that and I was like, yeah, why am I attached to suffering? And it reminded me of my time in Christianity where there was these negative prophecies going forward. Oh, you better do this. Doomsday is coming. Fear. I realized I had the portal of fear within me, fear of death. I didn't understand that this was part of natural cycles, so I couldn't plug into natural cycles. I had to plug into my own pain, my own fears, and attach to my own mindsets about death. Why am I explaining this? I'm going out of my way to explain this because this is day 1 of 10 of it being great ease in flowing in these energies. Great ease. Okay. So now during the next 10 days, and I'm ending here, I want you to be very, very intentional about what energies you entertain within yourself. We're always talking about what we entertain with other people. It's not other people, it's you. You need to be mindful of what you entertain within yourself. What thoughts come in and what portal within you do you get sucked into such that you become like the thing that you're saying you don't like or don't want. Okay, vibration is everything. So even if something outside is vibrating, you are vibrating on that frequency to pick it up. Think about it. If there are sounds going on that you don't hear because you can't pick it up, but dogs can. But animals can. There are light rays that your eyes don't pick up, but animals do. Why? Because you don't have the frequency to pick it up. If you didn't have the frequency of the thing in front of you, you wouldn't pick it up. So I need you to look at that in a deeper way over the next 10 days and really see yourself in other people and stop love and lighting it and really look at it. If you don't love and light it in them, don't love and light it in you. If you don't try to make excuses for it in them, then don't make excuses in you. I'm not saying call it right, wrong, good, or bad. I'm saying look at your reflection and see it for what it is. I'm not saying look in the mirror and see and say, I look ugly. I'm saying look in the mirror and see I have 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. That's what this is about, okay? So I'm ending here. I'm going to post this on YouTube because I want you to plug into this over the next 10 days. Day 1 of Galactic Activation Portals. Ashe, you are welcome.